In this video, I will give you guys a comprehensive Raiden Shogun guide with many weapons, tests, and showcases. I will test out multiple artifact stats and multiple 5-star and 4-star weapons so you can get the best conclusive idea on how Raiden is supposed to fit in a team and how her role will be. I will also show you some teams that I feel will work with Raiden the most and cap it all off with some pros and cons. For our first showcase, let's take a look at our first Raiden build. C0 level 90 Raiden. The weapon is level 90 R1 Engulfing Lightning. I will also showcase the catch R5. The catch is the best 4-star poem for Raiden. However, it is a pain to get and I'm getting flashbacks to the nightmare that is fishing as I speak. The artifacts for the showcase will be 4-piece emblem with crit rate circlet, Atk Goblet, and energy recharge sands. My talent levels are 6, 6, and 8. Character attributes are 2258 attack, 64.5% crit rate, 135.5% crit damage, 274% energy recharge. Note that I will change some artifacts depending on what weapon I'm using to try and get the most out of my damage. The first showcase is with Engulfing Lightning. No buffs, and we can see initial elemental skill damage is 6.6k, then around 2.3k crits every 0.9 seconds. The elemental burst slash does 70k damage, then around 8 to 9k auto attack slashes. This duration is 7 seconds, and during this state is where Raiden shines. Now let's look at other weapons damage. For Refinement 5 the catch, let's take a look at the initial elemental burst damage. The catch does around 50k damage. We can see that there is quite a bit of a difference compared to the Engulfing Lightning. Besides the catch, I also tested 3 other 5-star polearms, 2 4-star polearms, the Staff of Homa, Skyward Spine, PGWS, Deathmatch, and Blackcliff pole. Staff of Homa above 50% HP does around 67k. Below 50% does 80k. Skyward Spine does 56k. PGWS does around 60k with max stacks. Deathmatch is around 52k. And finally, Blackcliff with 0 stacks is around 52k as well. These are just pure damage tests. The catch might seem weaker compared to the other 4-stars, but remember, energy recharge is a very important substat. Therefore, in real combat situations, the catch is still better in terms of damage uptime and overall consistency. Now let's see Engulfing's performance with an Electro Goblet compared to Atk Goblet. So we can see 69k compared to 70k, a tiny bit weaker. It really depends on what substats you have, and also with buffs like Bennett or Sarah on your team, Electro Damage will be considerably better than an Atk Goblet. Let's see this again side by side, with the left showing Atk Goblet and the right showing Electro Damage Goblet. Speaking of actual gameplay, let's actually take a look at some of them. Let's use Primal Bishop as an example. I'm using Xiao as my main DPS and testing my energy recharge ability. So after popping everything, let's just pretend I will use the entire duration of Xiao's burst. Then swap to Raiden's burst and do the slashes. We can see that Songli's burst will get recharged, and Bennett, I'm like a millimeter off. If I had more energy recharge, you will just need to punch the boss again to get his elemental burst back. Do note that Primal Bishop gives very little elemental particles though, because in this particular situation, where there are multiple enemies, you can basically pop every burst, then Raiden's, and get your elemental burst all charged up by the time Raiden's burst ends. Now, how about a team that doesn't need energy recharge? Does this mean Raiden is not needed? For example, a national team of Xiangling, Xinqiu, and Bennett. If we had Raiden in, we could give Xinqiu a better weapon, like a black sword, ending him up with around 140-ish energy recharge in my case. This will give him better damage. We will need energy recharge for Xiangling because she needs it for uptime. But in Shinchu's case, even without a sacrificial sword and energy recharge stance, we can still keep cycling through his elemental burst by the time Raiden's burst ends. Raiden provides that energy recharge stat that Shinchu normally needs in this team comp. After Raiden's burst is over, Xiangling just needs a tiny bit more. If my Xiangling is a bit more leveled and better geared, she can cycle easily. Finally, Shinchu just needs to pop his elemental skill and he is charged. For Raiden's build, the Engulfing Lightning is of course the best weapon for her. You can also check my tier list here if you want a more in-depth explanation. The catch is the best 4-star polearm that is free to play, but also kinda annoying to get, as you need to fish a lot if you want it fast, but there are also time gates, so unless you have a lot of friends or the patience to join randoms, you have to play the waiting game. Skyward Spine is also really nice. If you pull the weapon banner frequently, you might get a spook and have one in your inventory sitting around. For talent priorities, Elemental Burst is the most important, followed by her elemental skill. You can choose not to upgrade her auto attacks. In my opinion, C0 is already strong enough, but if you want more damage, you can go C2 or C3. For her team composition, you can go for a national team. This team is really fun and Raiden is the last slot that will make overall everybody in that team's damage get higher. You can also use a tri-polearm team of Xiao, Songli, Raiden, and Reflex. Raiden will make energy recharge and elemental burst cycling much easier for every character. It is really easy to know how Raiden functions. You pop her elemental skill, pop every party member's elemental burst, then go ham with Raiden's elemental burst. Finally, let's talk about Raiden's pros and cons. I already talked about it a little bit in this video, but after using Raiden for a bit, there are some cons we have to talk about. For example, Venti's burst and Raiden elemental skill will usually infuse Venti's burst with Electro. Sometimes maybe you don't want that, but a different element to be infused instead, and that may be a bad thing, getting Venti's elemental infusion wrong. There are also teams that already have a great setup, so you don't need to force Raiden into them, and maybe sometimes you'll want to force a Raiden into a party that's already perfect. For pros, she's just a great all-around character in general. Whether you use her as a DPS, burst, or a support, you will find her contributing to your team in some way, whether it is on the field or off the field. A really nice character to have, and hopefully this video helped you decide if you want the Electro Archon, Raiden Shogun, on your team. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you guys in another video.